and order is a Labour issue today. And that's what I mean by new Labour, that type of cooperation with our people.
Disgusting. This is not a cross-section of the working class. Isn't a cross-section of working people? Where ordinary people
It's not a cross-section of the Labour Party.
It's an absolutely representative sample. There are different points that you represent. Okay, thank you very much. All right.
It offers nothing to it. It's just fighting with Tony, with John Major for the referendum.
Right, thank you very much. Right, thank you very much. Now, there's a gentleman over here who wants to make a point. Yeah.
We, myself and people like me, feel that the Labour Party have abandoned those of a low wage and especially the unemployed, which results in us having to take to the streets and form our own opposition. We have to form our own opposition because we do not have an opposition in Parliament anymore.
Look, chum.
On anyone I represent here, I don't think so. Look, on 96, that's what we say.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you sit down, you can take part in the debate. Thank you. Would you mind sitting down?
What I have to say about that, Jeremy, is those who live by the sword die by the sword.
Hello there, my name's Chris Natural, and today I'm down in sunny Brighton for the Labour Party conference, where apparently there is a proposal today to discuss the Criminal Justice Act and whether the Labour Party is serious in repealing any parts of that act. So what we're going to do today is move around conference, move around the suits and have a chat to some of these Labour bods and see whether they actually are serious about doing anything about this act. Mr Mitri, if you've got just 1 second, could I ask you, Chris Natural from Small World Media, could I ask you what you thought about Composite 41, asking for the repeal of certain sections of the Criminal Justice Act?
That's not my area of comment. I'm sorry, you have to speak to the spokesman.
I'm just asking you as a senior member of the Labour Party really to perhaps speak to people like myself who feel somewhat disaffected by the leadership's position on outlawing the right to protest for a start. There you go, there's the reaction, and let's move on. Ignore when,
I get the feeling that you two are enjoying it. Yes, I thought you might.
Mr Hattersley, could I ask you what you feel about the remit of Composite 41, asking for the repeal of certain sections of the Criminal Justice Act?
I'm in favour of the line we took over the Criminal Justice Act, which was to pick out those parts which we thought were wrong and vote against them, but not voting against the entire bill. That is really a sensible thing to do.
How do you feel about the fact that there's thousands of not just young people but older people as well that feel that the Labour Party abstention on the Criminal Justice Act was pretty much a kick in the teeth for
I
people?
don't believe there are so many people. There may be one or two minority television shows, but there aren't so many people.
There's been over 1,000 people arrested at Shoreham and Brightonsea, as well as many more thousands that have taken to the streets, have written to the MPs, done the full democratic route, Labour, Tory and Liberal.
Sorry, are you interviewing me? Are you making a speech?
Well,
you improve your technique, son.
Well, there you go, there's the Labour chance to attempt to get a few words over to the younger people about how they feel about the Criminal Justice Act, and I think that was a fairly big up yours, basically. Well, I've come to speak to you today because I understand that you're putting forward a proposal today to discuss the possible repealing of certain parts of the Criminal Justice Act. Now, as members of the Labour Party, I would be quite interested to find out your reasons why you are putting forward such a proposal.
Well, from Preston, the main part of the resolution from my constituency, because there are several bits of the resolution, the bit that's come from my constituency is to do with travellers, and we're concerned at the criminalisation of travellers.
Let's see what he's got to say for himself.
The Tory criminal justice was a real hodgepodge of measures, many of which didn't link together at all. Some of those measures we supported in all, such as the provisions for DNA testing, the measures to do with computer pornography. The Criminal Justice Act should be repealed.
Well, there you go. Fine words, perhaps, but let's face it, as you've seen, he's speaking to a two-thirds empty hall. That's the level of interest the Labour Party seems to have in our disappearing civil rights. So my conclusion from that is it's empty words to an empty hall. I'd just like to ask the two of you how you think your respective speeches went today.
An interesting bit is going to see what Jack Straw says at the end of the afternoon when he's got to reply to the debate.
So far as Composite 41 is concerned about the Criminal Justice Act, I'd just like to say this to David Burrow, because we're asking Preston to remit this. We did, David, oppose all 3 sections of the Criminal Justice Act, which you mentioned.
It seems to me there's been a certain amount of fudging as regards giving a frank discussion about the CJA.
We're very happy to have a frank discussion about the CJA. We've had a frank discussion about the CJA. There was a good debate. Jack Straw made it absolutely clear in his speech the concerns he had, and we look forward to a continuing dialogue on that issue. I've got to dash.
But you remitted it though, didn't you? That's at the end of the day, it's been remitted.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point of a remission. It enables there to be a continuing dialogue, and that there will be. I promise you. I've got to dash. I am sorry.
I think it's a real pity that they're not even interested in discussing it. As I said, I think it should be repealed, or those oppressive parts of it should be repealed. The fact that the motion has been remitted today suggests that well, that means it's clearly not Labour Party policy, and I do regret that.
Yeah, right.
I think it's iniquitous and it should be repealed, and we're losing so many of our freedoms lately, and they hit the people who can't hit back.
I don't want to cut you off or anything, and I'm behind you, but we need people like you in the Labour Party.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, that Labour's behind us, and that's the point. I think that we've taken the stage on, and Labour's got a lot of catching up to do before they're going to introduce people like myself and others, you know. So I think that's right. We've got it from the horse's mouth. The Labour Party is behind us.
New Labour, New Britain.
As you can see, the reporting of today's Labour conference is well and truly underway. But one thing you can be well sure of is they will not be reporting anything new about the Criminal Justice Act. It seems if you're serious about changing things in this country, we've got to make our own opposition. Good thing or a bad thing, what the heck, that's what we've got to do, so let's get out there and do it.
We travel intercity like the men do, intercity sitting pretty all the way. So join us on the intercity when you feel you need a little holiday. Away from the boring kitchen sink, no right to be here. Behind the daily round and common task, come on and travel intercity like the men do. We'll have a little outing now and then. So up with women's rights, come up and see the sights. We'll be nicer, brighter women for a man. Away from it all and home again.
The reason I work in a women's only group is because I'm just so sick of sexism. It affects you the whole time, you know, when you walk down the street and someone makes a comment about your tits. And working in a women's group stops you from being so disempowered by sexism.
Women Against the Road, which stands for war.
We're fighting for our children.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Are we sitting down or what? Are we sitting down?
Are we sitting down? Yeah, gonna get shit off.
Yeah, wait till we come.
If you work in a women's only group, you move society forward by years rather than just by months, because you're challenging the very nature of society rather than just a particular issue.
The women's peace movement has influenced all kinds of direct action and the whole of the peace movement, because it's shown that like women can organise on their own, can talk for themselves and can make decisions and can handle everything and can be very creative and have a lot of fun.
And the men still burn her, stripping her down with mining and the poisons of their war. So to us, the earth is a healer, a teacher, a mother, a weaver of a web of light that keeps us all alive. Ice is the star today, Anna, Hecate to me to Kali, Inanna.
Women's only groups help women empower themselves and think as women. There's nothing wrong with oppression. It's an entirely appropriate response to have to something that's going to kill you.
Women's power and knowledge has been taken away from us by so-called experts, you know, patriarchal industrialists or politicians. And a big part of the women's movement is reclaiming that power. You know, we have enough knowledge to sort out our own problems. We don't need to be told the answers by anybody else.
So what does your mum do? I don't think Mum does anything.
Works all night and day. And she's a nurse when we fall, a policeman when we fight, a judge when we argue, and a singer at night. Our mum worked, but she never got paid. Well, you walk to see the way that she serves us. She leaves herself to last. And there were times when we wouldn't even help her, and she'd be too tired to ask. Well, she's a cook, a washer woman, a teacher and a wife. She's our mum, she's the one who worked for our lives.
Direct action, for me, is a way of overcoming the frustration and the anger that you find when things are happening without your say-so and a lot of the time without your control.
Let's Avengers concentrate on direct action because we find it's the most effective form of political organisation. There are already groups like Stonewall who lobby Parliament and go through, you know, the proper channels, if you like. We find that direct action is far more effective. It reaches a far wider group of people, and also due to media interest as well, if we do something exciting, if we do sexy action, then the media want to report it, and then we get the word lesbian on TV screens and in newspapers the next day. So that's why we concentrate on direct action.
Most women that I know have been raped. So women have a very different understanding of what rape is to what men do. When you talk about the rape of the earth, for example, and you've been raped yourself, you're going to feel a lot of different feelings about it to if you're trying to imagine how someone else feels when they've been raped.
Now the earth is a witch, and the men still burn her, stripping her down with mining and the poisons of their war. So to us, the earth is a healer, a teacher, a mother, a weaver of a web of light that keeps us all alive. Ice is the star today, Anna, Hecate to me to Kali, Inanna.
Don't let people tell you that you're excluding men, because it's just sort of like, it's positive and it's powerful and creative.
It's not about men and women having a fight. It's about us being in balance with ourselves.
The feminine approach is very different from the masculine approach because women tend to look at things in a much more holistic way and they see the interconnectedness of different issues.
Hello, my love.
Spirituality is personal empowerment. If you love yourself and you feel good about yourself and you are whole and balanced and spiritual within your own energy, you can move mountains.
If you go back into ancient history, when women had power and worked together, they were called witches and burned. And so in a way, it's like that the power that women have is feared. It always has been, and maybe still is now.
For me, getting into campaigning was the best thing that ever happened in my life, because it meant that I could use all this pain and anger into creating something positive and really doing something, and not just letting the system get away with it.
This increase in the money supply creates a curve which I'll darken here. So now we've got an expansionary fiscal policy. That was whatever kicked the demand curve up in the first place. We add to that an expansionary money policy in order to keep the interest rate the same.
For years, people have defined the economic health of a country by its gross national product. The trouble is that every time a forest falls, the GNP goes up. With every oil spill, the GNP goes up. Every time a new cancer patient is diagnosed, the GNP goes up. If we are to save ourselves, economists must learn to subtract.
This is one of Banks's sites, the same company what's wanting to move into Charleston, into our village. And that dust what's coming off there while they're taking the overburden, that muck away, it's silica dust, and that's the most dangerous dust what anybody can breathe. Everywhere is going to be like this, and there's whole communities going to suffer with this noise, with this dust, and with this terrible, horrible sight.
The wind always seems to blow from the west, which will blow right down here, right down to the school. I mean, I didn't realise till I started working at junior school down here how many children there are with asthma.
It would appear that perhaps this area, within perhaps a 20-mile radius of my village, appears to be standing on shallow seam coal. And that seems to give the open casters some kind of immunity to plunder whatever is there.
There are prospects of them going all the way around this village. Different sites all the way around us, and we could be stuck in the middle of a lot of great big holes all the way around us.
You can't close a colliery down and within a year put it on agenda to outcrop surroundings of a village where you've just put all the young men and middle-aged men out of work. You cannot do it. It's an insult.
The colliery was there in its splendour, a gigantic modern colliery there, basically not hurting anyone, just giving employment for this area. And good employment. We know the tragedies of mining, but there was certainly lots of laughs and lots of comradeship and solidarity.
Steal away, steal away, steal away to Jesus. Steal away home. I ain't got long to stay here.
The people here have been welded out of steel, same as all mining communities. We had the 1926 strike, where this colliery Charleston was solid. We had the 1972 strike, where this colliery was solid. We had the 74 strike, where this colliery was solid, and the 84-85 strike.
It was a very, very close-knit community during the strike. And I think that closeness is still here. They had the hardship, and the hardship brought them together. And they realised that if they kept together, they could win through, they could survive. And I think that keeping together is coming through with the open cast mining as well.
In 1993, when the colliery closure announcement was given out, there was at least 500,000 people marched on the streets in London. From our colliery alone, we took 10 buses. Imagine taking 10 buses, that's 500 people. My colliery ceases production on Friday. My colliery has millions and millions of tonnes of untapped reserves. It's always been profitable, and I can't see any reason any reason on this earth why they're shutting a colliery what can make money for this country and keep people employed.
And I think there was a plan, and they knew that they could get open cast mining, they could get coal by open cast mining, and the plan was shut the pits, get all these miners out of work, they're causing us too much trouble, we'll go and get the coal another way.
When plans first went in and we got to know about it and Eccles were up, so we all got together and started, and we've been fighting ever since, right up to now. We meet here. At the moment we're meeting nearly every week while inquiry's been going on. We average about 30 at his meetings, but I mean there's people all over the village that are behind us. When the inquiry first started, there were loads of people from the village went to town hall. It was packed that first day.
The fact that people have gone to the inquiry day in, day out, sat there all day, it's just phenomenal. You know, a really humbling experience to see the commitment of people locally. The thing about the public inquiry is it tries to give the impression that there is no place for emotion, there's no place for people's ordinary heartfelt views, and somehow devalues that unless you're an expert.
This particular first site here is what they call Dean Field site, which is one of Budge will be more than likely open cast in this foreseeable future. And then when you go to the next site over, it's the site what Banks is wanting to open cast. As we've been looking over the site, the potential site, what's going to be open casting, lo and behold, to the left of us is the Queen's Counsel, Mr. Horton, who's defending Banks's in this public inquiry. And another guy what works for Banks's, one of the agents, so we've dropped on the hornet's nest. Rotten part about it, like to smack them all in gob, but just daren't.
Our experience has been that if we gain planning permission and we're allowed to start the site, that a lot of people are pleasantly surprised that the impact is much less than what they feared, and we believe that that will be proved to be the case here as well.
They put this exhibition on again to show us what it would be like when they had finished. I mean, they hadn't even asked us if they could start.
They're going to plant thousands of trees.
And over half of the acreage of land which is to be used for the site will be restored to woodland.
And footpaths for us to walk on.
And also wetland areas and a fishing lake.
And I think if anybody mentions another lake, well, quite honestly, if we get many more lakes offered, we're going to be better than the Lake District. So we demonstrated outside there, and we took our banners and we stopped people and said, do you realise what's going to happen? Did you know those fields over there aren't going to exist unless you fight for them?
It's an absolute turmoil we don't want. We don't need.
It's turning to the point where you can't just speak nicely to people. You can't just ask them to tone it down or to do this, because they don't listen. So you shout louder and louder and they still don't listen. And so then you have to take action.
Michael Heseltine is directly responsible for 18 million tonnes of open cast coal in Britain today, and we thought we better take it home to him. How would he like it in his backyard? And so we went along with planning application and started to dig his land up. For it's hard, it's hard, harder than they'll ever know. And if they don't play the game, then the price of coal's the same. And the Pithead Baths is a supermarket now.
If they get defeated on this one, It'll make you feel like fighting for others that come up round us.
We are still together and we'll fight. And I think even if this open casting doesn't come along, but some other tries, we shall fight them.
If this public inquiry fails on our behalf at Charleston, I will be stood outside them gates there where Banks will be coming on with the plant and not allowing him to come on, and if I'm arrested or anything, I will stick it out. Enough is enough, and I believe there'll be a lot more people in this community which will support that form of action.
In an angry debate. The breath taker, I produce aka the Undertaker. You want to come down to the...
Well, not people want to restrict the size of a shrub.
Rude FM, back after the break.
Wicked, man. Yes, selector. As we say, pop, pop, pop goes the 9. DJ Trace has to rewind. For all the lively massive, to all the phone line crew, and this next one you. Once again, reaching out to everyone with a safe in. This is how we let you know.
We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being.
Thanks to that Mark down in Bexton, reaching out to the Bexton crew.
What we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary. We declare
our dedications requests.
When I was about 14, 13 and all them, there was all them stations, Dance FM, Centerfall, Sunrise, I used to listen to them all the time. And in 91 I thought I could do one myself. So just got a few decks together, mixer, bought an old transmitter, put the aerials up, and was getting out to like about 10 miles. Every weekend we go up there Friday, put the aerials up, put the transmitter in the pipe, go and set the studio up. That's it, we're on air.
Excuse me, ladies, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do you like jungle music?
Yes, right.
What do you like about it?
The beat. You don't like jungle music? It's okay. I'll just say I'm a bit, well, yeah, it's all right. For the younger ones, it's nice. It brings all the kids together, doesn't it? Mm. Yeah? That's a good thing about jungle music. Seriously.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it. Okay, thank you very much.
I had a little an Amiga computer, and I used to do it on that. You didn't need an expensive sampler for that. You used to do it in the computer itself, but the sample time's limited and the quality's not that good, so you have to improve each time. So that's what we've done here by building up our studio. The important thing to jungle music is what carries the whole music. So as you see the bottom line there, we've got one looped, and that's what's playing through. We like to have more than one drum beat. You're looking for 2 or 3 just to get a groove going. So if you switch on the second one, and then we get a groove going, so we know a feel for it. Then after that, I like to look for a B line, or a bass line, whatever you want to call it. So we just chuck a bass straight into there. You know, you hear a lot of music out there and you think, I can do that. I know I can do that. I've got it in me, and it's just a burning ambition to do that. And if people appreciate your music for a change, I think that's what leads you half the time.
This is the legal communication. This is the way people really can communicate, find out where their music is coming from, see how the DJs are. Some of the DJs work down here, they see how they play. People like to meet the DJs, then they only hear, you know what I mean? Puts a face to the name. That's what they like to see, you know?
From Rude FM, yeah, every DJ off Rude FM comes here, without a doubt. Yeah, they're all regulars every week.
More or less all the music you can hear on the station, you can get here. It's like, right, we might give the DJs the promos before the releases, yeah? So you'll hear the music on the station and go, yeah, I like that tune. And then you'll know that you can come here to get that tune, you know what I mean, in the future or whatever. But otherwise the DJs, like, they'll come in here, we all got them well, and it's just like
family sort of thing, really. In comparison to other dance styles, it's up there, yeah. You know what I mean? It's not no little saying that, you know, people go, oh, jungle and kick it away. It's there, it's prominent. It worries a lot of people, you know what I mean, how good it is. You know, they don't like it, half of the people, but that's up to them, innit? The older generation, I suppose.
Drives you mad. It's like with the West Indies at the test matches. Have you heard them at the West Indies they'll be at the cricket test matches this year. You'll hear some jungle music there.
You should have had a couple speakers, right? Yeah. And then the jungle music player, and we would have danced for you now. What? We would have shown you some skills.
We go free mash up the place. P-E-D-R-O. This is shout for the one page. Cause to tackle cruise we go with the flow. Cause we love the bass and now down to now. So not the chip but I love to chop with the chop but I read up on the bass and track. Cause we boy love it so we have to that now. Chill and would you bring the bass line back.
Most of the locations is a little bit secret. So I can't be specific on exactly where we are. Obviously. Jungle is what we're playing right now. Most of the people love that situation in London. There's a lot of ravers that are going out to jungle. We sort of cater for the community. Most of what people like to hear is jungle.
Everyone has got a sense of music which is within them, and that's all a woman needs to DJ. It's taken a long time, I think, for women, especially in the jungle scene, to make a name for themselves, but they have, and it's very, very good. It's very enlightening, and I hope it's a good incentive for all other girls who listen to people like rap to, you know, what does it cost? Get yourself some decks and mix it up.
Jungle music.
Jungle music?
Have you heard of jungle music?
I like very much.
I find it's exciting, lifts you up, changes your mind. If your mind's on something, it can distract you from what you're thinking about and give you something just that takes you away from it, you know, better than drugs.
I've always been there, yeah. Even when it started off, we had like just laughs on the weekends, you know, we weren't getting out far, but it wasn't about that, it was just doing the music. It's getting to what we want it to be. It's like getting to be one of the top stations out there, if it's not the top.
I won't never give up the station.
From the studios of ITN, The News, with John Suchet.
Good evening. A woman whose son was a victim of the Belgrano sinking tried to disrupt the Argentine tour of the Princess of Wales today. She edged towards the princess, shouting insults at her, then collapsed.
The princess knew nothing of this as she approached, smiling and shaking hands. But with the princess just yards away, a security guard in a light grey suit moved to block the woman. She reached out, trying to grab the princess's hand. With the princess 3 feet away, she shouted, "Puta," an obscenity in Spanish. She said it at least 4 times. The princess, who does not speak Spanish, kept smiling. but everyone else understood. Some shouted back words of encouragement. The woman was taken away in a wheelchair. She claimed her husband had been taken away in the 1980s by the military leaders he'd insulted after the death of their son. She says he was murdered. There was a warmer welcome for the princess from Argentina's president, Carlos Menem. He told ITN he's been looking forward to this for days. They met at his home, where he's now having lunch with the princess. Mr. Menem enjoys being photographed with beautiful women. Like the princess, he too is separated. The British government insists that this lunch has no diplomatic significance whatsoever. For lunch, they're having crab and chicken. For dinner, they're having a problem. They can't sell enough tickets for tonight's charity dinner with the princess. Argentinians seem unwilling to spend £200 for the privilege. Bill Neely, ITN, Buenos Aires.
Next, on the early evening news.
On the 3rd of November 1994, the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act entered the statute books. One of the targets of this piece of legislation were hunt saboteurs. Hunt sabs, who Michael Howard describes as thugs, wreckers and bullies, are people who take non-violent direct action to disrupt hunting. This film tells the story of how one group came up against the Criminal Justice Act. Here is their story in their own words.
Normally what would happen is that our local police would put, you know, say half a dozen police officers out for the hunt, and then obviously if more sabs turn up on the day, then they've got, you know, a number of police that they can call on, you know, to bring out just in case. But it seemed that everybody, all of the coppers were there at one time, you know, from the off. Personally, I put the fact that there were more police officers about because the meet was at a high profile, you know, place, i.e. it was at a pub and not at a farm or tucked away somewhere out, right out in the countryside.
As we left the village and we'd come up to the top of the hill, Chief Inspector Parks, who wouldn't always be on the hunt, was there. He came up to me and said, I think, Simon, we ought to have a pack today. As it turned out, I don't know why he said it, because they'd obviously have preconceived plans.
The hunt passed this location just before you came down. I heard a horn blow from somebody inside this van. It wasn't from a huntsman. You were in the same location as where the hunt is taking place and on the same land. By blowing that horn, you were disrupting the hunt under Section 68. Nobody's admitted to blowing the horn. So therefore, all of you are being arrested under Section 68. Do you understand? I'll caution you, you don't have to say anything unless you say what you say, maybe give evidence. Has anybody got anything to say?
That's absolute rubbish.
Bollocks.
No,
Okay,
absolute...
just get in
yes,
the
hold on, I haven't had a chance to say anything yet. You've asked me to say something, haven't you?
Yes.
You've admitted that the hunt was in this vicinity, and indeed they were over hunting through there. How can you possibly arrest all of us in this van when we're about to leave this land where we were asked to up the top?
Because you're all... I'm not going to argue with you because you're all concerned together. You get in the van and sit there.
I have been asked... Well, I just couldn't believe it. It was totally unbelievable. You know, I straight away, well, it's an unlawful arrest. There's no way that we were guilty of any offence. The whole thing was incredible. I mean, we'd been told to leave the land, which was exactly what we were doing, and you know, and to be arrested while we were doing that was ridiculous.
My feeling was it was couldn't possibly be lawful, as he hadn't actually seen anyone any individual commit an offence, and as he'd said, we were all under arrest. I couldn't believe it. So had he said, yeah, he's seen me blow the hunting horn, I'm under arrest, I would have had to accept my fate.
You cannot have a mass arrest of people in the hope that will then contain one person who is guilty. If you cannot identify the person who committed the alleged offence, then you see you can't arrest an entire group in order to trawl one person who may actually be guilty.
Hello? What's the problem?
Simon.
Yes?
You've all been arrested, as I understand it.
Not a lawful arrest.
For aggressive trespass.
No, we...
Are you going to come out of the van?
We were... Listen, we were leaving the land in the van. He hasn't seen anybody.
Yes, he's seen... You were right by the hunt, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned. He has arrested you for aggressive trespass.
Yeah.
We cannot sort it out here. You've got to come to the police station. Now, if you can do it in a gentle way, it's a lot easier to do that.
If he saw someone blowing a hunting horn, he must arrest that person.
The position is quite simple. Simon, I'm asking you to come out of this vehicle easily, otherwise we'll have to break open the door and get you out that way.
I haven't committed any offence.
You've been arrested. Would you please open the door so we can do it gently?
I don't think you've got any right to arrest me. You didn't see me do anything. I was leaving the land. I was trying to leave the land.
It's being taped and videoed.
I was trying to leave the land.
Reasonably. We've got a Jeremy that we can open. You can open the door.
I'm particularly angry that the police made us go and take a route that we didn't want to take, and as a consequence, we were arrested.
Right, you, out.
If an officer does not have reasonable suspicion, then he's not acting within the execution of his duty, and the arrest is unlawful, and the person detained is entitled to resist, using reasonable force to do so.
Right. I want you out next.
I'd rather film everyone coming out.
No, I want you out next. You are the next one in the van, and I want you out. Come on, I don't want to damage that video recorder. Do you mind if I just film everyone coming out? No. Don't mind. You're next. Come on, right, do I get out?
You've really got to treat the police very carefully, you know, because we've been ambushed and we've been arrested and we've had 6 months of grief for it.
Just step out, mate.
Not particularly, no.
Would you please step out?
Right, I'm letting you know, right, that I think that this arrest is unlawful,
Fine.
right?
Okay, okay, point taken. Good to get out then.
Thank you very much.
That's your views, and you're entitled to them.
The police have got to be viewed as the enemy sort of thing, if you like. I mean, I don't think that enemy's too strong a word.
Mrs. Wild, can you come out, please?
I say now that you're arresting me illegally and I do not need handcuffs on because I'm not resisting arrest. And if you put handcuffs on me, then that is illegal.
Where that person is exhibiting no aggression, is effectively coming quietly and is not showing any intention to try and escape, the handcuffs shouldn't be used. And it seems yet again in this case that the police routinely handcuffed those people as a matter of convenience. It made it easier to deal with them if they were handcuffed.
Telephone and look after it, please.
No, I'll go with the custody officer.
You're under arrest and we'll take the property
stay with
for
me.
safekeeping.
No, I think that's illegal,
want it to get
Simon. It
damaged.
goes to the custody officer. It hasn't been signed for yet. It stays with me. It stays with me until we go to a custody officer and the custody officer fills out my charge sheet. Right?
Why? What is it? Is it an offensive weapon?
We believe that it can interfere with
Yeah,
the
okay.
course of
All right,
evidence.
all right.
The whole time while there is hunting and there is cruelty, while they're out there chasing a fox for 8 hours or whatever at a time, I will always be out here trying to stop them.
Okay, Simon.
How do you know this is unlawful arrest?
Out you
You
come.
haven't witnessed anybody doing an
Out
offence
you
while
come.
they're trying to leave the land.
Simon, out you come.
It opens
Look,
us up to a damages
I'm not
claim.
going to argue. I'm not going to argue the top with you.
And I also
You've
don't want to go in
you've
that
been
van
arrested.
because that
Come
is
on.
a dangerous
Out
van,
you
and if
come.
you're trapped in there in a fire, I would like to go in a car.
Out you come.
That is a dangerous vehicle to transport anyone in.
Approved method of carrying prisoners. Out.
Carrying prisoners who've committed an offence.
You've been arrested.
Don't break it, don't break
You've
it,
been
don't
arrested,
break
get out.
Don't break my camcorder then. Don't break it. Hold on a minute, hold on. I'm trying to get my feet, aren't I? Hold on, look, just don't break my camera, all right? Otherwise it opens me up to another claim, isn't it?
The main thing is we've got to keep fighting them every way we can.
Can I put my cover?
Certainly this Criminal Justice Act hasn't done anything to deter me.
Take it off, Simon.
Get off a minute, will you? How can I? How can it? You can't possibly get it off while this great oaf's on top of me. Get off my arm, will you?
In the end, if things go well, we'll win.
Madam, just leave
No, I've done nothing.
Right.
This is an unlawful arrest and I've done nothing. During my arrest, I felt undue force was used on me, and I had to call a police doctor out because of an injury to my hand. And to have to go through all of that, through then the months of waiting, to have to go through all of that then for them to turn around and say charges have been dropped. I'm totally disgusted by the whole thing.
You got this bag off him as well, Charles?
Right, let's see what's inside it, in case there's something I shouldn't have.
I don't carry things around with me that I shouldn't have. Do not take that, right? I want that to be given to the custody sergeant, not you. You've got no right to take these things off me.
I think that this situation can happen anywhere at any time, and I think that it's a very dangerous act, because I think it gives the police the opportunity, and it is so wide that they can use it whenever they think it would be to their advantage.
My feeling of all the SAB cases I've dealt with, all the CJA cases, aggravated trespass and so on, is that the police don't fully understand. From force to force, the interpretation of it seems to be different. It may be that as time goes on they will get to understand it, but I haven't seen any evidence of that.
Here we give you the best of crap arrest of the week. For swearing at a lorry.
Testicles!
Crap arrest. For throwing orange peel at a lorry at Shoreham. Diane Pullen was fined £60 for this one.
Crap arrest!
Criminal damage to a tape measure.
Crap arrest.
Yep.
Crap arrest!
For striking a police officer with a woolly hat. Bang.
Crap arrest.
You can't kill Ken! You can't kill Ken! You can't kill Ken! You can't kill Ken! Whoever, power, no matter what any group decides to do. Shell is hell! 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 Shell is hell!
It is because of oil that our people have now been sentenced to death. So Shell cannot disassociate themselves from what is going on there.
News at 10 with Trevor McDonald.
Nigeria executions defy the Commonwealth and the world. The military regime in Nigeria ignored all international appeals for clemency today and hanged the writer Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 other minority rights activists. The executions have brought protests from around the world and galvanized the Commonwealth Summit in New Zealand. Mr. Major called them judicial murder.
You don't need a new car. You just need a new petrol. Fill up at Shell and help make driving that little bit cleaner.
Done. Piss off. I'm going to get some petrol.
That's it, mate. There's litter here.
I'll tell you what, if you don't turn that fucking video camera off...
Don't. It isn't necessary.
Take that camera up your arse, mate. I want to get some petrol. Tell him to turn that fucking camera off now. Turn it off. I want to go in there and get some petrol, right? Stop down there and get some petrol. This is not a free country.
Nigeria is not a free country.
I'm not interested in Nigeria, I just want to get some petrol. I'm on empty.
Shell has stolen this petrol from people in
I'll tell you what, the problem is you lot. I'll tell you what, they're caring about the people in England, not in Nigeria. I'll just go down to another Shell garage.
Wow, big boy, aren't you? Fucking so macho, aren't you? God, listen to you. You're a sad, sad man.
I suppose you're just another one of them fucking lesbians.
Oh,
Your living room is the factory. The product being manufactured is you. Your living room is the factory. The product being manufactured is you.
Orgy of violence.
Explain that we are actively seeking work, or if we don't look right for work, or if they don't think we've got the right attitude to work, they can take away our benefit. It also means unemployment benefit is going to be limited to 6 months instead of a year, which it is presently. And so basically it's going to force a lot of people into very low-paid jobs.
There's no money, and I'm pulling up my hair. I got the blues. I got the job, I'm sick of the blues now.
You've got managers and the whole employment service putting that pressure on people, on the workers there, to make sure that they fulfil their quotas, because they have got quotas now for getting people off the dole, for getting people onto courses, for getting people's benefit cut, all of that. And there'll be much more of that harsh regime imposed on people as a result of that.
What happens if benefit advisors don't fill up their quotas?
They probably won't get a pay rise because management are arguing that there are lots and lots of people out there who are not making any efforts to find work, and it's our job to root them out and deal with them.
That the government want to create a corporate image in the civil service, and they want to have open plan offices without protective screens. Now, when they're unemployed, they're going to be getting told things that they don't want to hear, which are particularly nasty and coercive, involving a denial of benefits. In open plan offices, you could have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and people are not going to strike out at John Major, they're going to hit the staff. It's a situation the staff don't want to be in, and it's a situation the government is forcing the staff into.
The success of JSA will be dependent on us being tough policemen, if you like. This is designed to intimidate people off the dole by continuously interviewing them when they come to sign on, by making them follow a very, very vigorous, well, it will be job seekers agreement, and it'll be gone through very, very thoroughly. The interviews will be longer, there'll be more time allocated to them.
If they take away my gyro, I've nothing left to lose.
The minute you tell someone something they don't like, that's when you have the confrontation. You know, even whether you're in the right, wrong, whatever, you have the immediate confrontation. And the JSA appears to be, you know, a benefit that is sort of going to leave us delivering a lot of things that we don't like and the customers don't like.
JSA, no way! 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 Call me!
one day of the week, of the year rather, that we can actually be ourselves and come out and be proud and enjoy.
And is this a demonstration or is it a celebration?
It's both. It's a demonstration of our sexuality and it's a celebration and joy of our sexuality. And being sisters of perpetual indulgence is to get rid of guilt and oppression.
I've heard about you. You're dangerous.
I'm the quarry manager. We want to close the quarry.
Are you doing a good job, are you? Quarrying?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, could you please leave the premises?
I don't believe there's justice in this country as far as black people are concerned, to be honest with you. All we can do is try to expose the truth and let people see what the cases are really about. Because nobody should be in life for defending their life against attack. Nobody. Everybody has a right to defend himself against attack.
I am the master of destiny. I'm the biggest star in the nebulae. You speak his name in several places, lying in the sea, some of his different cases. Smoke here. I can be James Bond, I can be Judge Dredd. It all depends what I've got in my hand. Swagger like Jagger, and pop! For me. The factory is the car for me. It's everything a car should be. It's everything a car should be. Now, folks, I'd like to introduce to you the guys in the band that I call my crew. They love the Vector for different reasons, because they know it's better than the competition. The man on the guitar, he's a man named Brew. He loves the band.
Pollution here is giving 1 in 8 children asthma. Asthma is for life. But it's the children that are suffering and it's the children I'm standing for.
If the rail was cheaper and the fares was cheaper, people would go by transport.
These vehicles are parked illegally on the pavement. The council and the police aren't doing their job of moving them back on the road, so we're going to do it ourselves.
It's coming. The most significant event in automotive history. It's coming. The end of the age. of the automobile.
What's your response? Well, justice was served. And I'm off to Stonehenge now. I haven't missed an equinox or solstice since autumn of 1990, and I don't intend to miss any in future.
The Druids have a legitimate right to be at Stonehenge because we are not a trespassing force. It is our temple. We do have the right to be here. And this judgment proves that. We will all be there next year.
Let no man, no woman stand between them.
So what are you being arrested for?
Trespass. I think it's trespass, isn't it? Yeah, for trespass.
Trees aren't protected. We haven't got enough people to protect these trees, and it's really saddening because I know they're out there sitting somewhere in a bed sit and they need something to do, and if you really feel about something, you've got to come out here and do it basically, and someone's not going to do it for you.
So the fact that the Earth's first people have moved into the site and moved into the trees have actually given the community more heart.
laughing at.
Lay down, Mark. Keep your head back.
Hold on a minute.
Where does this leave the peace process when Catholics count for nothing? We count for nothing. We're not worth more than mushrooms. It's ridiculous.
That's right. Where's the ceasefire?
Look at us. Look at us. The whole area is like that. The whole area. For what? For 18 apprentice boys.
We're not going to go away. We will fight to the last. And we are not working for slave labor. That's a slavery. I work for last 28 years, and I'm not sell myself for slave wages. I got right to fight my right.
To be a dolly, now they say that I'm a slob. Just 'cause I've got long hair and I haven't got a job, I got the blues. I got the job singing blues. If they take away my gyro, I've nothing left to lose. The kids are screaming, the cupboard's bare. There's no money and I'm pulling up my hair. I got the blues. I got the job singing blues now. I'm gonna sit on Peter Lily's garden till it gives me my juice.